My name's Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds. This is the Rumour Mill. This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just a £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello, everybody. My name is Conor McGilligan. What's going on in your world? Hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back here. It is the 30th of September. It is, of course, unequivocally every day, the Rumour Mill. Today, we're talking about physicality concerns. Today, we're talking injuries. Today, we're talking about form. Today, we're throwing something into the treble D, the discourse, debate, discussion. So, guys, I want to see you there toward the back end of the video, as always. Have a like on the video. Let's get towards maybe 51,000. My goodness, the aim was 50. Now do we go to 51? Do we reach the dizzy highs of 52, 3, 4, 5? My goodness. Ever onwards, ever upwards. How you doing, everybody? What's going on? Gaz in the building. One of the prize winners from the watch along. Gary McNamee. How's it going, Gaz? Ordering an Irish top from OK Jersey, our sponsors. Check them out, everybody. Link in the description below. Well done, mate. Good to see you in there. Free jersey for Gaz. You have to be there every watch along, everybody. We've got 2 on offer on every single one. Morning, everyone. Hi, Lee. What's going on? Lots of people worried about the injury news this morning. James says 50k, well-deserved, mate. Quacker Slot says, morning, bud. Feeling good after the weekend. Good stuff, mate. Matt Stevens is here. Morning, all. Morning, Connor says Nige D as well. Jeff's here as well. How you doing, mate? How's it going? Good to see a lot of you in here. And of course, the Sunderland fans who like to join us on every single Leeds United live in the morning. Thank you for having those notification bells switched on. You Sunderland fans, really appreciate it as well. Okay, should we start off with Al Tanaka? Let's do it, everybody. We'll start off with Al Tanaka and we'll get into the meat of the rumour mill this morning. So I wanted to throw something in there quite immediately, really. And I want to, from my perspective anyway, dispel a few bits when it comes to Al, and maybe that obviously we know that there's clubs circling around him when it comes to Celtic, when it comes to Brighton, when it comes to Bournemouth. They've been rumours that we've mentioned on the mill probably for about 6 months now, especially when it came to the January window. It looked like Celtic were there as well. Brentford were there again, and that happened again in the summer. Interesting that Leeds didn't sell out Tanaka. I thought he'd definitely be on the chopping block with the amount of money that we bought him for and what we could potentially sell him for. Once again, stock is high. Can sentiment be attached? Well, yes, because sentiment has to be attached to this, because not only is it sentiment, but there's logic formed as well. I thought Al Tanaka could be a Premier League player, and I still do. Interesting voice from Graham Smith at the YEP at the weekend, though. He said, or the other day, my concern with Tanaka is his physicality, or was his physicality in the Premier League. He got run over a few times towards the end of last season. I was worried a little bit against most elite athletes in the Premier League. I think what he was talking about as well is he said the issue was when matched against more powerful and athletic opponents, Tanaka may struggle in duels, lose ground, or get muscled off the ball. Smith says he's seen this happen a few times. I think there's games for Tanaka. I think there's definitely games for Tanaka. I've been really impressed with Sean Longstaff. He surprised me, even. He really, really has. His level, especially in the last few games, I think Newcastle in particular, but I thought in the last game, in particular at the weekend, Bournemouth game, of which they've got such a technical midfield, I thought he'd struggle a little bit. That didn't happen. I thought he was our best midfielder. And I really like what he said afterwards. And I thought it was quite poignant when he was mentioning that he's telling people in the dressing room that they're good enough. These are Premier League players, but at the end of the day, they're just players. You know, you've got 100 plus points. Be confident in yourself. And from a player who's played Premier League level for 5 years for Newcastle, and in a lot of those Premier League games, he's played very consistently from the start as well. I think he is vitally important at the minute, and you're seeing that a little bit more. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, I still believe Tanaka provides more quality than all of that midfield. So in games of which you need quality, I think what Graham's saying here needs to be taken into context a little bit. I think Daniel Farke brings him on the right-hand side for, 5 minutes? That was Tanaka's, and we mentioned this on the watch. It was his first touch of the ball. The game almost like passed him by because it was Bournemouth toward the end, wave of attack. You know, they were pushing really high up. Senesi was pretty much beyond the halfway line, you know, as was Trufer. Trufer was acted as a second winger at one point. So Leeds were camped, and Tanaka just didn't get a lot of the ball. So when he got the ball, he was cold and he was caught on it. I think he thought he had more time than he had. But I think the big conversation here as well is it's not just that. That was the first phase of it. But the second phase of it was Ampadu keeping them all on side and doing an individual defensive notion. You know, he didn't stick with the line. He didn't effectively feel like he stuck with his man. He just followed the ball. And that's something in the modern game you can't do because systems rule all. So you've got to be in a system. You've got to be disciplined. So there was two phases. I'm not saying it was all Ampadu's fault, but I think what we're hearing a lot of right now, especially over the last 24 hours, is maybe concern about Tanaka's physicality. I think you've got to put that into context a little bit. The beautiful thing about what Tanaka provides is just quality on the ball, which we're going to need this season. And I felt in that game in particular, we've got enough physicality. You've got Anton Stack in there. You've got Ethan Ampadu in there. You've got physically big players, okay? Or you've got, Longstaff in there, or Ampadu, or a variation of that three. You don't always just need physicality. That's just not true in the Premier League. You look at all the compositions of the midfield, there is a technical player in there a lot of the time who doesn't comprise physicality. I think one of my favourites at this moment in time is Adam Wharton. I don't think he's off the scale when it comes to physicality, but there's physical players in that Crystal Palace midfield who help him, really get that elevated level out of his game. But he's a technical wizard and he's in there because of his quality and he's able to see patterns and see play before it happens. I think that is what Tanaka is. I think Graham's off the mark a little bit with this one. I get the whole physicality thing, but I don't like zoning in on that because that's never been Tanaka's game. And maybe that's what he's highlighting. Maybe that's what he's saying. He's saying, look, physicality side was always the problem at the Premier League, but you need quality. You need people to hold on to the ball as well. Let's not get around this, towards the back end of the game as well. More context to be applied. Carl Darlow, with his last 2 goalkeeper kicks in the last 3 minutes, just booted it back to Bournemouth. It didn't look like he aimed for anyone. Just booted the ball out. You're giving the ball back to a team, keep hold of the ball. And I felt if you kind of build that sort of last 5-10 minutes, I guess, a little bit in and around Tanaka, then you see maybe the best of Tanaka in terms of keeping hold of the ball, maybe winning free kicks, getting to the corner, being able to really play in and around Bournemouth and panic them a little bit because they know they need to respond. So, yeah, lighter frame is fine. I completely get that, but I think he has everything in his game to work at the Premier League. Tanaka, I just don't want to judge him too heavily on him coming on, losing a foul, and then Leeds having to defend a free kick, which they didn't do. Yes, that was Tanaka's fault, but I think we have a little bit of a tendency as a fan base sometimes to maybe look at, I think it happened with a few of our players last season where they make maybe 1 or 2 mistakes and that's it. That's it. If a player comes in and is performing well, the other player doesn't get a shout anymore. And I think it's really key to note how important Tanaka is going to be for Leeds United this season in terms of the quality on the ball and the ability. He's still our most technical midfielder, and I think you've got to really have a midfield composition of physicality, athleticism, but real quality on the ball as well. And I think the introduction of him didn't help him the other day. So I wanted to talk about the physicality because that seems to be a thing on social media now. It seems to be a thing that articles are picking up on as well. And it was interesting how Graham Smith spoke about it the other day as well of the YEP. What are you guys thinking about that anyway? Let's have a look in the comment section below. Evening, Connor. Hey, Matt. How's it going? Morning, Connor, lad. Hope the head is better today. It is, mate. Thanks for that. Leeds fan says, morning, Connor. Congratulations on the 50K. Uncle Tony Pony says, just got back from the Ryder Cup. Good lad. Good lad. That is good stuff. It's fair, but we need to judge our on a large sample of games. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. SPJ, the only boy in the village, says, he's not getting minutes for us. Will he get minutes for the likes of Brighton? Celtic would definitely be a step down. Longstaff says, Mike, thanks, Helen, as well. Longstaff, physical and long-legged. He can really put it about as he showed on Saturday. Genuinely feel our best midfield is Ampadu, Tanaka, and Longstaff. Yeah, I think that's probably, that's interesting as well, Giardi. I'll come back to that. Thank you, mate. I think that's an interesting point as well. You know, an interesting point, really. I don't think Stack's been amazing. I really don't. I don't think Stack's been top level, but it's that physicality thing that seems to be really focused on at this moment in time. I just think it's important to never ever forget how good Tanaka was for Leeds United last season, and how we shouldn't just say because he's lost the ball in a game of which there was a phase to defend that he's now suddenly not good enough. And Longstaff has to start every game ahead of him, so does Stack. I think there has to be a variety in that midfield, and that's not me putting a dampener on the other midfielders' qualities, but let's not just completely forget what Tanaka's all about. I think that's really important. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, thanks everybody for the really lovely comments there as well about the 50K. It's been a milestone for me for a long time now. I've had it in my periphery, so thank you so much. Make sure you slap a like on the video as well. That just helps the algorithm, everybody, because YouTube's killing us at this moment in time. Will says football has definitely gone into a more athlete approach compared to technicality. That's true, Will. That's true, but I think you also see in the Premier League, and I could probably name 5 midfields, even the one that we played up against at the weekend, where there is physicality, but there is also a high degree of technical footballing ability in a midfield, of which those maybe midfielders aren't known for being physical athletes. You know, you dot that midfield with differences. You know, I wouldn't say I think he is an athlete, but I think he's more on the technical side when you look at someone like Alex Scott. You know, when you look at James Tavernier, I wouldn't say they're physical athletes, you know, but they're good technical footballers. And you dot, you know, players like, you know, Tyler Adams in and around those players who are known for that. They are known for breaking players up, you know, play up, I should say. Okay, let's get on to the next conversation as well, right? This isn't good. So if you guys aren't aware, there is some really concerning news coming out about Dan James. Several sources are saying the Leeds United winger Dan James has suffered an injury in training, which is kept out for a long time. Not sure how true this is. Someone did message me and say it could be ACL, but I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying that's true whatsoever. I'm not saying I'm in the know whatsoever. This guy has got a few things pretty bang on when it comes to information, but that doesn't mean it is an ACL. That doesn't mean it is an ACL. Leeds apparently have been asked to confirm or deny the claim, but no, there's no official response yet. I believe Craig Bellamy has put him in the Welsh side as well, which is interesting. But I think I was waiting on 10:50 when Bellamy's press conference is. I don't think it's out yet, so we'll wait and see what Bellamy has to say. But it is 10:50, so make sure you keep an eye on that. James obviously missed the game, the match against Bournemouth due to a knock in training, and was an unused substitute against Bournemouth as well. According to 442 as well, Leeds are waiting on the confirmation on the severity of this fresh injury blow from other sources. And there's also obviously been a few other people suggesting that he could be out for a long time here. So there is, to summarize, there is a key concern here, a real concern that is that maybe there's a training injury that has been kept, that may keep him out for a long time, but the club are waiting for official confirmation. So, yeah, James is in the Welsh squad. Okay, that's good news. That's good news, I guess. So maybe the severity isn't as bad as we initially thought. Popey's got everybody panicking a little bit, which I completely get. We need to know when those Welsh games are, I guess. But if he is in the Welsh squad, that's better news, I guess. Yeah, he said here, Leeds have just confirmed it. Carl Darlow, Joe Rodon, Ethan Ampadu, and Dan James have been named in the Welsh squad. So I don't think here, when you're looking at this, and this is really important information as well. So unless James is there for some sort of changing room banter, I'd be I'd be really surprised if he was out for a long time. But who knows? But who knows? As I say, don't shoot the messenger. The Welsh squad was announced about 10 minutes ago, apparently, on social. So it does look maybe like he could be okay. But there is, as I said, Popey's reports and you know what I was told as well, and there's stuff from multiple sources saying that there's a problem here. So let's hope that it isn't that. Let's hope that it maybe is a little bit of a lesser injury and all these reports are just fabricated rubbish. Let's hope that is the case. Yeah, as I say, Pope has had it confirmed by several sources who are close to him. So very, very strange. Very strange if it is conflicting information. If it is the fact that he's in the Welsh squad and he's just going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks, that's much better news than him being out for the whole season, which is what some people are suggesting this morning. Morning, Connor. With the likelihood that DJ is going to be out for an extended period of time, it's more imperative that Aronson continues to up his performances, says Jem. Yeah, this is a really good point, Jem. I think you look at either side, and now it becomes very important that we know the availability of Willie Gnonto. I think you look at Dan James, you look at Willie Gnonto, you look at Brendan Aronson, you look at Noah Okafor, obviously on that side, Jack Harrison. It's not the best selection of options when you kind of go down that list, but overall, I think it is very important that Dan James has to, you know, keep that. Brendan Harrison, I should say, has to keep that somewhat level of quality up, I guess. I think he's been okay. I think he's been all right, but I think Willie Gnonto comes straight back in. I don't think he will. I think Daniel Farker absolutely loves Brendan Aronson, so I don't think Willie Gnonto is going to come back in. We see this a lot when it comes to that continuity that Farker likes, especially that almost conservative approach of which he wants to defend as well, and he wants that right winger to help out Jayden Bogle, and I think he'll be encouraged by the performance at the weekend for Brendan Aronson. I think even if Gnonto was back this weekend or the weekend afterwards, I think you'd still see Aronson playing, but it does, from a depth option, mean that we have to really, really zone in on Willie Gnonto being available soon if DJ is out for an extended period of time. 100%. Really important. James would be struggling for. I think you're right, Jeff. I think the back end of last season, I think this season, he's really been off it. This is what I mean. It's an option that is missed. The big thing is obviously we haven't got a recall clause on Largy, but there you go. But and I don't think he'd be used anyway. He'd just come back for depth, wouldn't he? Which would interrupt his. I don't think that would be fair on Largy because Farker evidently doesn't want him to, you know, be part of proceedings. So I think it'd be unfair and large to take him away from Valencia, where Corbrand's actively going to be developing him, for him to come on off the bench for 3 or 4 minutes per Premier League match just to be sustenance as depth. I know he's a Leeds player, but you want that player to develop as well. There's been a lot of people saying to me on socials and stuff, Connor, do you think he'll recall Largy, or do you think they'll recall Largy? Well, they can't because there's not a recall clause in there, but that would be ridiculous from Leeds' perspective, I think, because Farker doesn't want him. So if Farker doesn't want him, what is the point in bringing him back for his development? You need to increase his stock. You need to, if you are going to sell him on, then you need to increase that value for him. The way you do that is when he's out in Valencia, hopefully impress him. This is why I never understand the whole rhetoric about Joseph. It's just people just want to be right with Joseph. He's shit. I told you he's shit. You said he was good. It's like, okay, but do you not want the best for Leeds United? Do you not want us to get his stock higher so we can maybe sell him on? Do you not want him to perform out there for the better of his career? You know, I understand that there's a little bit of eyebrows raised about Joseph. I get that. But do we not want, and we're going to get onto him in just a little bit because it's not going well for him out there, or great for him out there at this moment in time, but we need players on loan to elevate their stature when it comes to if they're coming back to Leeds United and they're able to slot in and be a high degree of confidence and feel good about themselves. And then if they've done it here, they can then do it here, you know, or if we are to sell them, they need to be at a certain level. It's not about pointing the finger and going, I told you. That is just, that's bizarre behavior. We want the best for Leeds United. You need the best for Leeds United, and to get these players stock high, to then be able to get the best value on that stock is by them playing well. 100%. Smith is thinking of rugby. Maybe you're right, mate. At Leeds have to bring in a right winger in January. Yeah, it's becoming a little bit more prevalent now, isn't it? Leeds lens. It really is. Kirsch says, I do think Okafor is improving. I thought he was good at the weekend, mate. I thought he was good at holding the ball up. I thought his runs were intelligent. I thought he was. I've really liked Okafor against Fulham. He was better for me in the Fulham game than he was in the Wolves game. Scored against Wolves, but I didn't think he was good at protecting the ball. I really didn't. I didn't think he was good. And the first goal kind of was maybe symptomatic of his rawness, but it shouldn't be rawness at 26 years of age. But there was promising signs there. I thought the Fulham game, he protected the ball a lot better, but he couldn't really get down Tete's side. And I thought Anderson was marshalling him out of play pretty easily on that cover. But I thought in the game the other day, he was, and we said this in the preview, if you can target Jimenez, what I'd have liked Leeds to have done a little bit more is do Okafor up against Jimenez every single time, especially after Jimenez was booked. We didn't go down the left-hand side enough, in my opinion. Let's have a look. Yeah, 100%. Right. How prevalent? Right. So the latest on Mateo Joseph, it's not going great for him. It's not going great for him. And the context, once again, I've just given you guys the context when it comes to my perspective. Look, if you want to turn around in the chat and say, ha, Connor, you said that he was a good player and should be starting last year at points, fine. I can be the lightning rod for ha. But I don't understand that mentality. It's just, I'm right, you're wrong, which I think is just immature. I think I want Mateo Joseph to do well because I want Leeds United to do well. It's not about proving myself right. It's if he's out there and he does well, that helps Leeds in both options. Both degrees, it helps Leeds. So I don't understand why you'd want him to do poorly out there. I get his exit wasn't on the greatest terms, but as an asset of Leeds United right now, we need him to do well. So he's on loan at Mallorca right now. His performances have been under scrutiny. Obviously, because he's come in as they wanted him to come in as their lead marksman. He's made several appearances, but he's not scored yet. And in one match, there was a bit of a golden opportunity, as reported, to win the game, but he hesitated a little bit, like we did see at Leeds, to be honest with you. So against Alaves at the weekend, he was brought on as a 69th minute substitute, and obviously he's been used quite regularly, but it does mirror maybe the start of the season for Leeds when he was playing and he didn't score enough goals, and it was almost after that fifth game, I believe. Or it was early on, wasn't it? It was very early on. He was taken off for Joel Peru and he didn't really get back in. But it was a bad one for him at the weekend. He had really low goal involvement, and that can be game state as well. It's very, very, and that's what I was speaking about Tanaka. It's game state, him coming on, being cold, being fresh, losing the ball. It's because he's not got the ball at his feet. He's not been able to get into the game. Could have been the same thing with Mateo Joseph. But he was brought into the game 4 passes, with 2 of those being successful. So, yeah, I think there is a pressure on Mateo now. There's a pressure on him right now to show and to develop and to score goals. That's the pressure on him right now. And that's, I have to say, with the amount of plaudits I've given Mateo Joseph, there's always been an onus on him that he needs to score goals. He's a striker. He's a striker. Of course he needs to score goals. That needs to be on his head. And maybe that's the side of his game right now, which he's struggling with at the top level. And maybe that is wrong. I don't want to judge him so much right now. But he has been taken on. He's wanted by La Liga sides. So if he's wanted by La Liga sides, they're clearly happy with his level and what he can play at. At this moment, it's just not going well for him. It's really not going well for him. So obviously with him coming on as a 69th, 70th minute substitute as well, if that happens consistently, it's going to be more difficult for him. You want Joseph starting games, but if he's not performing, he's not performing. And that's what happens. And that's on him at 21 years of age. Joseph is a pure profit player. Vitally does well, 100%, mate. All of a sudden, Aronson is our first choice right winger. We're in trouble here. The fact Farker doesn't want him over James, poor choice in terms of technical ability. Yeah, I would agree with that. Roscoe says Joseph has so much potential. I think his mentality needs adjusting. His agent is clearly a bit of a chopper. Definitely, Roscoe. Completely agree with that. Len says, I think we felt Joseph was better than he was because profile-wise, he always fit the system better than Peru. So he looked better than he actually was. I think Joseph has been massively overachieving in terms of players who he plays in terms of who he plays for a long time, League Two player, in my opinion. Well said, Connor, on the Joseph flat. All true Leeds supporters want to see Rama and Joseph succeed during their loan stints. Yeah, 100%. I think so. And what Lenz is saying is very true as well. It's you're looking at him in comparison to Peru last season, and you're thinking they offer completely different things. They offer Peru is a marksman, but needs a lot of time on the ball, needs space. And Joseph is a blood and thunder player, energy, endeavor, who'll hold the ball up, but doesn't have that finishing touch yet. They're completely different players. One will hold the ball up to a certain level. I thought that Joseph did that quite well, but there's no way he has the calm, sort of almost cold, calculated finishing at points of Joel Peru. So, but Peru is once again, it's kind of similar, isn't it? Is he going to be able to make that step up to the Premier League? I don't think he will. I think it's interesting because we come all the way back to Al Tanaka, and you look at Al Tanaka and you think caught on the ball in an area where, as Graham Smith was saying earlier on, he might have been able to get out of that area. Again, it's a very, very small sample size with Tanaka. I mean, it's probably the only time that's happened this season, but it caught in very narrow possession channel, and the ball was robbed off him. Okay, and you look at that, and you look at someone like Joel Peru, that would be very similar, wouldn't it? It's the time on the ball that Peru needs to be caught in possession. It's too quick. It's too furious, the Premier League. So 3D says, sorry, Connor, late to party. Congrats on 50k. Thank you so much, buddy. Damien says, Tanaka, that foul wasn't a foul. He had a loose pass, then stopped their player, ran into him. Wrong call from Farke. To be fair, Grove would have been better to hold. Yeah, I guess if you're probably right, mate. If it's just recycling, it's just keep it. I get where Farke was coming from. He wanted to control the game, but if you just wanting a bit more of a, I don't know, really, is Grove even more physical than Tanaka? I don't know if he is. Very similar build. Not sure he is. Maybe. Yeah. I actually don't think he is. So, if we're talking about stat coming on ahead of Tanaka, let's say as a hypothetical, yeah, completely agree with you there. But Tanaka and Grove, I don't think there's that much between them. Richarlison, good news when it comes to Spurs at the weekend, everybody. You'll see this in the headline as well. Thomas Frank apparently isn't happy whatsoever. Spurs are missing Dominic Solanke at this moment in time. He underwent ankle surgery and is expected to be out for some time. Solanke had been trying to recover from that non-surgically, but the recurring problem forced the operation. Not good for Spurs recently. In his absence, Richarlison is having to lead the line because they had a blow at the weekend. Randall Kolo Muane apparently has been missing, but there is optimism about his return, but Leeds might be too soon. So Thomas Frank is a little bit frustrated with his number 9 options, which is good news for Leeds United going into the weekend. We need Tottenham to have as many injuries as possible. Please, especially going forward. But if it's Mattis Tell going forward, I'll be reasonably happy with that. Let's touch on Gary Neville as well. Neville was saying at the weekend that he was blown away by Leeds and Sunderland. He said he's eating his words when it comes to the relegation claim, and it does just stand the test of time of both teams, and Burnley to an extent as well. I think Burnley have been dealt a very tough hand, but I think with Jadon Anthony as your top scorer throughout the Premier League season, I think you are going to go down. But I guess what you're seeing with Leeds and what you're seeing with Sunderland is two teams who are really up for the fight, and the combined points tally that we all have is a 3 now, which has obviously been upholded really by Leeds and Sunderland is a points tally of which 2 out of the 3 statistically stay up, which is really, really important. And with how well Sunderland are doing and how well they are doing, if it wasn't for that last minute Gabby Goodmanson own goal, and this is, if buts and maybes, and if it wasn't for, Leeds conceding right at the very end to Bournemouth, Leeds, I believe, will be higher than Sunderland right now. And it's key to note that Sunderland are comprising of a top 5 right now. Leeds are 3 points behind them. It's a win. It's a win. And a win in the Premier League is so difficult to get. We've seen that against Bournemouth at the weekend. It's so difficult, but there are good signs there for Leeds United. And I'm more than encouraged at this moment in time. I think it is the threadbare nature of what we have, though, which is the slight worry. The threadbare nature, if we are talking about Sunderland have got 3 strikers. We've realistically got one who we think is going to be able to work at Premier League level and maybe be relatively consistent for us in terms of performance and maybe output. So DCL being fit is absolutely important. And I put Crescencio Somerville on here as well because West Ham drew last night against Everton. I thought it was a much improved West Ham side. I thought he was excellent. I think we're seeing the Crescencio Somerville of which we thought would be the Crysencio Somerville at Premier League level. I thought against Forest he was outrageously good and won them the game. In my opinion, I thought last night he was their only outlet. Obviously, there's Bowen on the other side, but he's so quick on the ball. And Nuno is putting that West Ham side together, and it has very similar profiles to what that Nottingham Forest side had. You know, when you look at Callum Hudson-Odoi, you got Crysencio Somerville. When you look at Nicholas Fulkrug, you look at Chris Wood. When you look at maybe that outstanding X-factor player in Morgan Gibbs-White, you've got Jared Bowen. Do you know what I mean? You look at that midfield in terms of creativity and ball carrying. Elliot Anderson, you've got Paqueta. You know, so there is a lot in that West Ham side which mirrors what maybe Nuno had at Nottingham Forest. And this is why I don't think Nuno, you know, I know there was a lot of Leeds fans, and Kingy might be in the chat and stuff, wanting Nuno ahead of Daniel Farke. I don't think there's any chance Nuno would have come to Leeds United, because he doesn't have the profiles that he needs to be a success when it comes to maybe a mid-table finish. But I thought they looked better last night. I think the game on the 24th of October between West Ham and Leeds United is absolutely massive, and it's going to be a really huge game now. That's only in 2 game weeks time. Guys, I'm Conor McGilligan. This has been the Rumour Mill. I hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to be back this evening with White Noise with Brownie from 7 p.m. Please check that one out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on the way to 51k. If you want to check out the second channel, link is in the description below. Please check out all our wonderful sponsors. Link in the description below for all those guys. It's been a pleasure, as I say. Make sure you get in the comments in the section below as well. Let me know what you think on what we've spoken about today. There'll be timestamps on the video. This will be uploaded to Spotify